Yeah, I'm recording now.
All right, so title of this talk is Four Punters Go Climbing in the Arctic. And that's
I think he's
three punters, Julian.
Or as Tommy says, it's three punters and a pro, or wannabe pro. But so yeah, myself, Julian, and Tommy.
Yeah, you've moved it now.
We're going to go through this. So, introduction to the team with the with some nicknames that we gave each other. So Tommy Harris, also known as Flashy Gonads, and I'll give you the background behind this. Flashy because, as anyone who knows Tommy knows, he's very. Anyone who knows Tommy knows he's very bright clothing and very flash and all that sort of thing. And then he's got very big balls to climbing. So that's where the that's where that one came from. Apparently, I'm a faffer. Is that right, Tommy?
Yes. Well, I've been climbing with Julian for years now, and he always seems he faffs a lot. Basically, you can be at the bottom of the route, and you can still be at the bottom of the route when the other teams are about 3 or 4 pitches up, and Julian's still trying to talk his way out of why he's not going to get up the route. So hence why Julian is called the Faffer.
So in my defence, I faff when it doesn't matter too much, like sort of sport climbing in Portland. Whereas when it comes to alpine stuff, then the faff doesn't tend to happen so much. And then Andre Clark, much of Andre's on.
We don't want to know what dogger means.
So, yeah, so this is the all I'll say is this is the dogging of the climbing variety rather than the other one. But
it's not really a forecast, is it?
Who knows?
It's Mr. Tug on the quick draw.
And then we've got Zach, who I can see is in the talk.
Yeah, we give basically. I'll tell you why with Zach, his nickname is Rambo. Basically, we went to Scotland last year, wasn't it? Was it last year, Julian?
Yeah.
Yeah, last year, and Zach wanted to come along, and Zach hadn't done a lot of winter climbing or anything before. We were sort of a little bit worried about taking him, but we was like, yeah, come along, mate. We'll climb on a free, no problem. And Zach is proper old school. He hasn't got none of the up-to-date gear. All his gear is like his coat must weigh 20 kg. It's like this old coat. It's just like, and he didn't moan once. He just I think the hardest we did was like a grade Scottish 6. But Zach he just second up it, no problem at all. And he was just like he was walking up a grade 1 scramble. He's just old school and very hard as nails. So hence why we've called Zach Rambo.
Yeah. So where did we go? So I don't know how many of you have heard of this place, but it's an island called Senja in northern Norway. So it isn't inside the Arctic Circle. Obviously, when we say we went climbing in the Arctic, it's not like the Arctic in terms of being somewhere really, really sort of cold. I mean, it's in the Arctic Circle, but actually the sort of that northern coast of Norway does get the Gulf Stream. So actually, it's a bit, the temperature's a little bit similar to being up on the top of a Scottish Munro in that it sort of it'll go below freezing and then maybe go above sort of freezing. The difference there, of course, is that the temperatures there are at sea level. And specifically, we stayed a little place called Mayfjord there on Senja, which is basically about 3.5-4 hour drive from Tromsø, so you can fly direct to Tromsø from Gatwick, which is very handy.
Right here.
We used to be able to.
Used to be able to.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be able to again at some point. And then, it is an absolutely beautiful area. I mean, the drive over was, absolutely stunning. It was really nice.
Yeah, I would say if if anyone ever planned to go there, you ideally want to plan your flight, and you probably want to be driving. So you're landing early in the morning, so you're driving to your accommodation throughout the day. You don't really want to be driving through the night or late at evening, because when the weather is, when there is a storm out there and you do get caught in it, it's actually the driving's quite difficult. You cannot see the road. It's just like red markers either side. It's just, you wouldn't want to be doing it in the evening. So if anyone did plan going there, I would recommend getting an early flight.
Yeah, and the roads are, I mean, over there they look after the roads really well. They plough them, but obviously they don't bother gritting or clearing them with snow. It's all, the roads all got snow on them. You're driving in obviously car with proper winter tyres with little studs on them. And yeah, when the weather comes in, I mean, well, we'll come to it, but we did have one day where we drove in some bad weather, and it does, you just can't see anything. They are very good with looking after the roads. They've got red markers either side, so if you get caught in a blizzard, you just sort of follow these red markers. Just make sure that you've got them either side of you.
You still get like little old ladies out there in their no hats or gloves, just stand on the side of the road like it's nothing. There's us guys in full-on Arctic clothing.
And then we were staying. So this is basically the northern. I mean, Senja itself is quite a large island. How long did it take us, Tommy? Sorry, if I go back up here. So basically, you get to here to Finn's Ness. And we actually stopped here for the food shop, because that's basically the last place where there's a sort of proper large supermarket, and also the prices are more expensive on Senja. And obviously this is Norway, so it's expensive anyway. And then you drive over a bridge. You drive over a bridge onto Senja, and then it's about another hour, maybe more.
An hour and a half, I would say.
An hour and a half, yeah. So it's quite it takes quite a while.
On the map there, the red line you can see, the northern red line, that's the line that we took where we went in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, up there. Basically you see that Senja Hoppen there. That's basically just up here is where we went to. And the next map then shows that sort of area. So this is basically where most of the good climbing is. So we actually stayed up here, Mayfield there. So Tommy's the one who basically came up with the idea and obviously recruited us to join him. So Tommy, I'll let you explain why.
Yeah, it's just so last season, one of my friends did a trip there, and I saw some of the images, and they just looked amazing. So I got chatting to him to find out a little bit more about it, and he was so like psyched about it, and all he could talk about was how many that nobody knew about the place, and how much potential there was out there for new routes. It's just like, there's no guidebook for the area. There's no belays or anything, no guides on how to walk into routes or anything like that. And it just like, one of my passions is to go and put up new routes. I would love to go and put up a new route somewhere, climb new mountains and stuff like that. So I was just hooked straight away. So I just started putting the feelers out, and I know Andre's always keen for a winter trip. So I spoke to Andre. Knowing how much it costs, Norway, I thought if I could get a team of the more people I could get in the team, the more I'd get the cost to come down. So I also asked Julian. I think this might have been Julian's first actual winter ice climbing trip, and I think he was a bit. At first, he was a bit like. Not as psyched as I was for it, but I kind of persuaded him to tell him that he would really like it. He jumped aboard, which I was very happy about, because I do like climbing with Julian. And then we needed a fourth, and we asked around, and then Zach jumped in. Yeah, so that's basically why I wanted to go there and and climb there.
Yeah, there's no guidebook at the moment, but actually there is one to be. I think it's going to be published sort of the next year or so.
Yeah, there's information. There is the odd bit of information online. Like my friend Ramon, who went there, he had done a mini guide of his trip. Them guys are very, very good climbers. They're like the top of the game. So the routes that they were climbing anyway they warmed up on like WI6, N6 plus. That was their warm up route. So most of the routes in that guide were too probably way too hard for us guys anyway. But there is, if you go online, there is the odd bit of information on there. It's not like a guidebook. You're not going to get, oh, you do this pitch, you do that pitch, the length of the pitches and stuff like that, or exactly where it is. But there is pictures and stuff if you look around enough. But yeah.
So yeah, I mean just some pictures of the sort of scenery that you get there. So it's it is absolutely stunning. And I mean, as you'll see when we talk about the trip, unfortunately the weather did end up being sort of very Scottish. So when we say Scotland on steroids, it's Scotland on steroids in terms of certainly in terms of the weather that we encountered, but it's Scotland on steroids in terms of the fact that it's the climbing is quite similar, but it's sort of bigger scale than there is in Scotland.
What do you say the temperatures were generally?
Well,
it was hovering around about, I would say, freezing -3, but then with the wind, some of the days on the wind chill, it was fairly cold.
Yeah.
I would say probably down to -15, but it weren't overly. It was not a lot different than if you went up to Scotland, if I'm honest. But when the weather did come in, it did come in. It was really windy, really like a lot of spin drift, a lot of snow in the face. It was pretty harsh. The thing, because you was right next to the ocean, you look out towards sea, and you could physically see this stuff just like coming in across the sea. So you were prepared for it. You knew it was going to hit you, and when it hit you, you knew about it. But it wasn't.
It's quite warm then.
Cold.
Quite warm.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's you'd think that going in winter we went end of February, early March, you'd think like in the Arctic Circle it's going to be absolutely Baltic cold, but because it is west coast of Norway is it's a bit like here, it gets the Gulf Stream, so it's fairly warm, but obviously the temperature's hovering around freezing. That's like at sea level. So obviously if you go if you do go higher up, then obviously the temperature's going to drop, but the difference is that you're not having to climb up to 900 meters. You're not having to walk up to 900 meters like you do in Scotland just to basically go get on a route.
Okay, and the condition of the snow and the ice?
That was that was the challenge. That was the challenge we had. So I mean, look at the photos. I mean, it looks absolutely beautiful and stunning.
Yeah. There was a lot of snow. We had way too much snow, a lot more than what there normally is this time of year. And the ice wasn't great. The ice was very cruddy and brittle. It wasn't great at all. So building threads and stuff like that was quite difficult. So we didn't have ideal conditions.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the challenges we had as well was I'd say the weather forecast. I'm not sure it's just the way the weather is, or maybe the weather forecast isn't quite as accurate as as we get here, or certainly wasn't as the forecast wasn't as localized as we get over here. So the forecast would say one day it's looking good, it's not going to snow, and then it would just basically you get a snowstorm just come through, dump a mass of snow, and you go like, okay, that's our plans completely ruined. And obviously we had to be very, very careful with avalanche risk, and as you'll see, we were right to be very, very careful.
There was a lot of avalanches.
It's like Scotland.
What was the day length like?
What was that? Sorry.
What was the day length like?
I think it was getting light about just gone 7, and I think was it 4R4, Julian, roughly?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
not that different to Scotland, really.
Not really, no. I think before we went, I think it changes like from towards the end of January, February time. It goes up, like you get an extra half hour a week's daylight or something like that. You couldn't go out there, and if you went out there in January, you'd probably only get like 3 hours daylight. So they recommend that, well, from people I've spoke to that have been there, from the research I did, that the best time to go is towards the end of February.
Yeah, we went sort of when it was recommended, based on the fact that the daylight is fairly decent, but it's still cold enough for the ice, because obviously going a month later, we would have had a lot more daylight, but then the risk is that the temperatures are a bit too high. Whereas, I mean, going in January would be pretty much impossible, because it's.
Well, we never did any walk-ins. We did one walk-in, I think, in the dark, Julian, didn't we? It was just.
Yeah.
We were leaving our apartment in the dark, but we only actually did one walk-in in the dark.
Yeah. So as you can see from the photos we took, I mean, all the faces were plastered with snow.
Sense of scale, Julian. How big are these faces we're looking at?
How long does it take to walk in?
Well, this is the thing with the walking in. So when you look at the walk-in, you don't think they're that bad or they're that far. But the snow, when you get up near the bottom of these routes, I wouldn't say near the bottom, probably halfway in, there's a lot of areas where you're actually up waist deep in snow. So it is very, very disheartening and very, very taxing, and there's a lot of cursing, a lot of naughty words said. You get to the bottom of these routes, it's not easy, and when you get there, and while you're doing this as well, you've got pretty much, I would say, 9 times out of 10 when we were walking into the bottom of these routes, there was mini slides going off around us. So yeah, good conditions. If it was good conditions, good firm snow, you could walk into the bottom of that route there in probably 20 minutes. Probably took us, I don't know, hour and a half, I'd say. Probably that was to the gearing up point, and then it probably another hour, I would say, hour and a bit to get up to the base of the routes.
How long is that route we're looking at?
So that route we're looking at, the obvious line smack bang in the centre there, just before the ramp starts to go up right, that's the Great Corner. That's the route on the last day that myself and Andre wanted to climb. That's WI6 M6 plus. So it's quite difficult, and it was quite lean. That was the prize route. We're going to talk. I won't talk too much about it, actually.
Just asking how long it was to get a sense of scale, really.
I think it's off the top of my head. I'm not too sure. I'd have to look. It's about
6 pitches, was it?
6-7 pitches long.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the thing there is that you've got. I mean, again, if the snow conditions were good, you could get up to the base of the route quite quickly from the road, and that's probably not a massively long route. You've got other. I mean, me personally, I was quite keen on doing some of the much longer routes. It's more like Alpine style routes where, not this sort of grade, but still like sort of WI4 sort of grades, which are like really long. 800 meters.
Julian, there's a lot of routes. Those 600 meter routes on that Fantasia, they were all 600 meters long at TD plus, wasn't they?
Yeah.
600 meter routes there.
But the thing is, I mean, some of those, the approaches were longer, and we just sort of knew we just had no way of getting, getting into them. So
we were on snowshoes as well, wasn't we? If we'd have been on skis, it might have been the snowshoes were very good. But...
Yeah, and I'm very. I mean, I try to be very, very careful and anal with, sort of avalanche risk. So, we were trying to be very careful in the approach slopes. But one of the problems we had was like even getting some local knowledge, where we were being told, don't worry, there's no avalanche danger above. We were still getting avalanches coming over the top. So it just goes to show you quite how much snow. I think there's a lot more snow than than you normally expect there. But it's just, yeah, it's an absolutely amazing area.
If you look at that picture there, you can just see there's no guidebook for that area, and I can look at that wall there, and I can just see unsound root potentials there that nobody's climbed. It's just like
there's a lot of sort of alpine style ridges as well, which again, you know, with better snow conditions would have been nice to do, but. And there's a lot of ski touring, ski mountaineering around here as well.
If you guys just look at that picture there, that was you could just see that was where we actually went for a walk that evening, didn't we, Julian? That's we got a really good. I got a really good video. Won't be able to show it though, but you could just see how windy it was with the spindrift being blown off the summit there, with the sun on the other side of the peaks.
So yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, beautiful area. You get a lot of. I mean, you do get tourists. I mean, Tromsø, you get cruise ships coming into there, and then you get, you know, this is like the sort of a bit of a tourist destination as well in winter. And obviously, you know, when we were there, there's the hope of seeing the Northern Lights. You get people going to, you know, all around this sort of area to see the Northern Lights. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see them, or we saw something very weak. Something very, very weak in the sky, but you know, didn't really count as full on Northern Lights. But obviously, you know, if you go here the time of year that we did, then you might be lucky to see them. This was a photo just from a walk that we did from our accommodation. Yeah,
there was this is where we were walking up to see the Northern Lights in the evenings. Yeah. It's really nice actually. They've got these little sheds, and they put the pit. They have these little pits in the middle of inside the shed, so you can take up coal and stuff, and you can cook food up there in this like little shelter thing to watch the Northern Lights. Actually, quite really nice. I think we actually had one. I'm not sure about the full story behind this, but we actually had one in the apartment we were staying. I think Zach might have thought it was a. Did you think it was a sauna or something, Zach?
I think we all thought it was a sauna. And I spent about 2 hours trying to get it warm.
That's a good story. I think you came back, didn't you, Zach, about 2 hours later, saying, I can't get this bloody sauna hot enough. That's when we realised it was more just like a little...
Like an indoor barbecue.
A shelter with a fire pit. And,
he was wondering why there was bits of bacon in the bit where you put the coals.
That's a picture of looking at some roots.
There was actually, why we were out there, there was go back to that one, Julian. Yeah, while we were out there, there's quite a lot of routes on this face established. You could see over to the left, you could see there's 4 ice lines there that go up. There's a route that goes smack bang up the centre there called, what's that one called again, Julian? We should know because we walked into the bottom of it twice.
I mean, Spoon Couloir. Spoon Couloir, yeah.
But just after that, there was another guy out there called a mountain guide called Dave Sharp that was out there climbing, and he put up a new. Just to the left of Spoon Couloir, you can see like a S-shaped runnel going up the face, and he put up a new route there while we was out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I must say it was a little bit, you know, hard for us being, you know, first time there and not having sort of previous knowledge. So you get quite a lot of guides go out there, and they, you know, they do tend to have a lot of information, whereas we were lucky to get a bit of info from the sort of local guide there, but it's a bit harder when you don't have all that as much information as maybe some other people do. Yeah, we did see quite a few reindeer.
Yeah, this photo was taken on basically we had the weather wasn't great, so we went for a long drive around the other side of the island just to have a look to see what was around. If there was any, because the avalanche dangers were quite high, we wanted to see if there was anything close by to the road with not a lot of avalanche risks. Unfortunately, we didn't find anything. We just did a lot of driving. But yeah, we saw this little group of reindeers, which was quite nice.
Yeah, we were told that there was an area with apparently some amazing ice climbing, so we basically went all the way there and never found it. And somebody else then told us the same, that they'd basically been pointing to in that direction and gone there and hadn't found anything either. That's actually a pano from a pier, just showing the town that we were staying in. So we were actually staying. It's quite nice actually. This is sort of like big sort of pier complex coming out into the sea, and we basically we're renting an apartment on there. So you can see it's amazing view, and just even just around here you can see that all the sort of climbing potential that there is.
Yeah, the wall. Go back to that picture a minute, June. The wall. So the wall right on the far left. Later on, we did a route on that face up there. That's Kyle up. That's called Kyle. Just for later when we talk about that route.
Yeah.
Yeah, up the left side of that.
There's a photo at night time. I think this one we were messing around one night with long exposures and waiting for the northern lights to come up. We got a nice starry sky, but not the northern lights, unfortunately. So we thought it'd be worthwhile maybe just go through some of the logistics. I mean, I think we said we flew with, was it Norwegian Air from direct to Tromsø from Gatwick, and it was like a really very early flight. What time was it in the end? Was it about 7?
They kept changing the flight. So the flight was on a Saturday morning. We drove up. We went up to Gatwick on the Friday night. It was just as cheap to get a hotel in Gatwick and with the free parking as it was to pay for the parking. So we decided to go up the evening before. And we got a really early flight. I think it was like 6 in the morning, and the flight is around, is it 3 hours? 3 hour flight, 3.5 hours?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
If I remember rightly.
3 or 4 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that direct?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. There are people do fly to other areas and drive in, but that's the best way to do it. It's the only flight I could find that went to Tromsø was from Gatwick.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. We ended up, I mean, obviously getting stuff out, taking all the stuff that we needed was a bit of a challenge. So we obviously had all the climbing gear. As it says there's no gear shop around there. The closest gear shop is that place that I said on the mainland where we stopped for food. So it's like an hour and a half drive, and that's basically the closest gear shop. So we took spares with us.
Yeah, you want to, if anyone plans on going to a place like this, you want to be taking, at least between the team, spare equipment, you want to take a spare rope, you want to take, it's definitely you want to take spare picks for your axes and stuff like that. Chances are that someone's going to drop some gear, so it's always good to have gear. You could be climbing on the first day up there, and if you snap a pick on your axe, basically that could be the end of your trip, unless you're very, very lucky. So if you're going to go to a place out there like this, most of you probably know this, but you want to be taking spare gear between the team. And with the food, it's so expensive out there. So we paid for 2 extra hold-all bags to go in, which didn't work out that much. And we went to, well done to Zach. So Zach, we knew the weight of the bag. Zach went through it, prepped all the day meals, what we needed to buy, literally right down to, he had weighed everything. He done such a good job with it. And so we basically got all the food, cheap as anything over here. Where did you go and get it, Zach?
It was a few shops, but Iceland and Morrison's, those types of places.
It worked out very cheap between us, and we just took it all over. So we didn't have to buy any food out there other than the odd bit later on in the week, and it just saved us so much money. So if anyone does go there, I recommend doing that and taking the food with you. It works out so much cheaper.
Yeah, and obviously alcohol is very expensive there, so we bought some booze obviously at the at Gatwick Airport on the way out. And actually, when we arrived in Tromsø Airport, there was a duty-free shop there, so we got a bit more as well there. Because once you're in the shops, it was. I don't think it was. Actually, we didn't end up. It wasn't too bad, but it was still pretty pricey.
Yeah, we only bought the odd essential bit, didn't we? Milk and bread and stuff like that. So. It didn't work out too bad.
Yeah, you can see from the photo there. I mean, I think that was the day that we went out, just sort of driving around, doing a bit of recce. So the weather wasn't good, but you can see, you can see what it's sort of like if the weather's bad. And the roads are always covered in snow.
It's just reminding me of something. Actually, I would also be very, very, when you're booking a car, be very mindful on who you book with, because when we actually got to Tromsø, there was all these car hire centres, and there was not one person there, like one person in the queue. Yeah, we obviously went with the cheapest one because the queue was humongous. And then I would say probably 2 hours we were waiting for our car.
Oh my God.
In this queue, and then when we did finally get the car, bearing in mind we had a lot of bags between us, so we originally had paid for a big car. They didn't actually have our car, and they wanted to give us this little thing that that wouldn't have fitted our bags in. So we didn't have the easiest ride with the car. So just be mindful of that.
We did get a nice car in the end, though.
Well, even in that car, we had Andre and you in the back, Julian. We could hardly see you in the back. You with bags on your laps, and me and Zach were all right in the front.
We did have 10 bags between us, though, Tommy.
Yeah, we did.
So I mean, equipment that we took out, obviously, a pair of technical axes each, but yeah, we took spare picks. I think we took a spare pair of crampons for all of us, and obviously it was full sort of rack that you take up to Scotland. So ice screws. We had.
Well, we obviously took cams and that, but we took a lot of pegs, war hogs, bulldogs, and stuff like that. The gear is quite bold up there, so yeah, we took all that sort of gear with us as well.
Yeah, we took a lot of gear, but yeah, I mean, as Tommy said, it can be quite hard. Could be quite hard to find.
I'll jump in there. Me and Andre took a lot of gear. Someone left half the gear at home. so where myself and Andre were climbing 60-metre pitches with no problem at all, poor Zach and Julia were having to do it in 3 pitches because they only had a few ice screws.
This is the man in the know, basically there. His name's Ben, and he's actually a mountain guide, and mountain guide for climbing and also for skiing. So he's got a little lodge there, and actually he's a really good guy. You go and ask him about routes, and he's got he had loads of route descriptions that people have written up for new routes that they've done. So he's really good guy.
He's currently putting a guidebook together at the moment for the area. So there will be a guidebook coming out. So he is currently putting a guidebook together for the area. He's also a very, very good climber. He's actually the hardest route currently on the island. He climbed it with. It hasn't seen a second ascent yet. Him and a lady called Ines Papet. Have climbed it. We did well. We went out to look at it, didn't we, Julian? But and Andre, but it weren't in condition for us, was it?
That was a silly grade. I mean, that was like
M9 plus WI7 plus on gear.
Yeah, with a I think a run out section as well at some point. I think some other people have gone up and got to a point and said we're not going to commit to.
Yeah, if you Google this guy and have a look at him on Facebook, he's such a cool guy. He's got a husky dog. He's got this big bright green like Jeep pickup thing, these massive wheels on it, and he's just like I'm friends with him on Facebook, and some of the videos is that he goes out skiing and he's like skiing down these mountains, and he's got his husky dog like running behind him in the snow. It's quite cool. But yeah, it's, as Julian says, if anyone plans to do a trip there, certainly get in contact with that guy. He owns, unfortunately, we couldn't get into his lodge, but he owns Senya Lodge, and that's, if you're going to that area, that's the place you want to be. That's the main mountain lodge. He's the man. That's where you want to stay if you can. So yeah, I'd highly recommend getting in touch with him if you did go out there.
Yeah, it seems to be easier to get into this place if you're either a mountain guide or you're
a professional climber.
Very, very good climbers. When we went there to basically try and have a chat with him, and we sort of went in, and it turns out he wasn't actually there, but these couple of Slovenian girls basically saw us looking around to see if there was anyone there, and they let us in. We thought they were maybe running the lodge with him. It turns out that they were staying there. So we got invited in. They actually gave us some wine, very nice, very kind of them. But it turns out they were like really, really, amazing climbers from Slovenia. They've actually been invited out there, and they were there for about a month or something.
They also had a problem with getting with their car, didn't they? And they had to get a taxi there. They did turn up, but I think they had 3 weeks out there, and they were hardcore. They weren't messing around. They were getting stuff done, no matter what the conditions. They were just getting on with it and getting it done. Luckily, they'd actually did the route that myself and Andre wanted to do, the Great Corner. They had done that earlier in the week, and they had it in fairly good condition. So we were lucky enough to get a little bit of information off of them about the route. But yeah, they were like these tiny little girls, but they were bloody good climbers. Very, very good climbers.
Yeah, I think they've been. I think they've been like on one of these Scottish winter invitational meets that they do. They knew, friends with Ian Parnell. So they sort of like operate with that sort of level. Getting around. Yeah, obviously you want to. You do really want a car, and obviously if you rent a car there, it's gonna be one with winter tyres and everything. But yeah, even where we were staying, if once the snowstorm came in, they would actually close some of the roads until the storm had gone through, and they could get the snow plow out and plow the roads. But they are very good. They are. You've got people who just basically their full-time job is just basically plowing the roads all the time. Because otherwise these places would be completely isolated. Well, so on to the climbing. we did do some climbing, despite the conditions. So yeah, this was basically the first full day that we had there, and this was like right, let's go and get warmed up. And this route's called tunnel cuddling because it's basically next to a road tunnel, so it's very handy. The walk-in is 5 minutes, if that. So it was a nice route. The problem we had on that day was that how warm was it? About 2-3 degrees. I think we even got to
tough temperatures, and the ice was basically you were climbing up a shower. Really, it wasn't good.
So yeah, that's us at the bottom. That was interesting getting our car in that little car park. We had to basically drive through like a bank of snow. We had some other people basically try to basically get into this car park sort of after we did. We saw them from when we were climbing. They actually got their car stuck, and we could see them. It took them like about an hour or something just to get the car unstuck. So but yeah, you can see the climb coming up here. So that's the climb there. Nice. And there's the tunnel. There's a tunnel there. So yeah, the ice was good for the most part, but it was basically sort of melting, and so it was basically getting a bit cruddy in places. But it was nice. It was nice to get out climbing. This is actually not our photo, but this goes to show you when it's in condition, how much ice there is. This. Basically, we compare that to the day that we did it. You can see that all the ice that you normally have over here wasn't there, but still, it was. That's one of Andre coming up, and there's sort of Tommy. I think that's Pitch 2, isn't it, Tommy?
Yeah, that's the second pitch. I think that was the crux pitch.
So it was nice. Nice fruit, but we ended up soaking wet. I mean, when you've got ice melting on you, it doesn't matter. You have the best waterproofs in the world. The gloves end up soaking wet. You just end up with water everywhere.
Yeah, that's Andre coming up the second pitch. So after this pitch, Andre led on up first, and I was obviously, I'd made an anchor. I had 2 screws on the ice. The ice wasn't great, but it was enough in the hope that someone wouldn't fall. And I've never seen anyone take a big fall on ice before, but Andre was actually up quite a way, probably 10, 15 metres up above me, and his axes popped, and he did actually take a big fall, probably, I would say, I don't know, 8 metres he probably fell, and luckily my screamer that you can see him holding there howled. My first reaction when his ice is popped, I just looked straight at my anchor and I actually said, please God, don't rip. And luckily it held, and yeah, fair play to Andre. He was a bit shook up, but he picked himself up. He got back on the wall, and he led on up. And then he actually ran out of rope, so we had to build an anchor. And then I had to climb on up past him and finish the last little bit. Then I set up the threaders, and us guys started hammering back down. Why Julian and Zach continued on up the route. Myself and Andre were then at the bottom waiting, watching these guys, and then I'll let Julian take over of what actually happened then.
Yeah, so you see here, there were 2 falls, not 1 fall. and have in mind, I've never seen a fall on ice before. So Andre had a fall, he's fine. So yeah, Zach basically, because he is Mr. Rambo after all. I think it was on pitch 3 he was going up, and obviously Zach's on here, so maybe Zach can probably explain a bit, maybe correct me if I get this wrong, but I think Zach sort of got a bit pumped and basically couldn't hold on to the axes anymore.
But he was climbing in surgical gloves.
He
never actually had proper mountaineering gloves. He was climbing in rubber surgical gloves.
Yeah, they do say marigolds are supposed to be good, but I'm not sure that's really quite true. So yeah, I just remember basically belaying and then hearing, like, looking up and hearing like as though Zach comes plummeting down. Fortunately the first ice screw did hold, and he was fine, but basically he had one axe still basically up above him, which he couldn't reach. So I had to basically lower him down to the belay, and then basically we just switched over, and I basically went up, completed, because that's the last pitch, got to the belay, and then back down and rescued the ice axe. But that's when I know it's all very personal, but I'm quite keen on having leashes on my lanyards on my ice axes, attached to the harness, just in case I do drop one. I know it's very personal, but I think after that day, basically Zach, improvised with a sling, a couple of slings. Decided he wasn't going to risk losing an axe. I mean, fortunately the axe didn't drop down, although we could have recovered it. But sort of, I remember it was just there, wasn't it? It was just sort of above you. You couldn't get up to it.
Yeah.
So
well, to be fair, that was my first day on. What was that? 4+ first day on ice.
It was, and I just want to say something, right?
And I was leading on the 3rd pitch.
Yeah, I was actually I've been climbing ice for years, but that was Zach's first time on ice, and I've got people go on, they do courses on how to learn how to ice climb. They jump on WR3s and stuff like that. Zach, excuse my language, has got some big balls. He just he didn't take anything. He just cruising up this face, just in my head, I was thinking, please put an ice screw in a minute, Zach. Just put an ice screw in the wall in a minute. And he hasn't got any fear. He's just cruising up. And he's natural. He honestly, I would tie on the other end of the rope with him anytime. He's a natural. Yeah, fair play, Zach.
So we all lived to tell the tale. We went back to apartment. One of the challenges with the apartment was that it was big enough for 4 people, but there was no drying room there. So we basically had to, and we were absolutely, everything we had was soaked, ropes, sodden, gear, everything just soaking wet. So we basically we ended up using the bathroom. The bathroom had like heated floor. So we just ended up, the bathroom for the rest of the trip just ended up becoming the drying room, which was quite, plus we had stuff all over the radiators and, it was.
Well, we had bits of cord hanging up from one window going across to the door. Then I think by the end of the week, Zach had turned his bedroom. He was sleeping on the sofa, and his bedroom, he had turned his bed up on its side and had hanging all over it with drying clothes and stuff on it.
So then So the next route, and this was a really, really nice route we did. It's like one of the classics of the area called Big Blue at Ersfall. So you can see really amazing backdrop there, and the approach was pretty short. Again, there's quite a lot of snow, but we got up there. So here's it was actually quite a nice day, and then again, typical sort of Norway. Suddenly, the weather would turn a bit, and we were getting a lot of spindrift coming down the face. So that's Andre leading on the first pitch.
Have you got a slide up? I can't see any slides.
Sorry,
You got slides up or not?
I do. Can everyone see them?
Oh, I can.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just having a technical problem.
So you can see like spindrift coming down, so it's sort of very Arctic stroke Scottish. There's one of Zach coming up to me. And then this is at the top of the route. So Andre and Tommy had gone up first, and then basically ab down on a Balakov threads, which the ice wasn't the best. So we were a bit where we had to be really careful with these.
You had it easy.
Well, because we were reusing yours. Yeah,
in place for you guys. I was making them all, and you guys just having straight down.
Yeah, and the good thing for me and Zach was like, I think in order of weight, it was like, Andre the heaviest, then Tommy, then me, then Zach. So basically, Andre and Tommy were testing the threads for me and Zach. So it was like, oh, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. I think there's a couple of, a couple of pictures of you, isn't it, Tommy, on the on that sort of last, very brittle
nice
icicle bit on the top. But it was very nice route. I think the ice could have probably been in better condition. And again, it was, you weren't, I think the ice screws didn't really give us a huge amount of confidence, but no falls, fortunately. There's another view there. There's Summit. Tommy and Andre taking a bit of ice. I think we all end up with at some point a couple of nose from ice. There's one of me at the top belay. Actually, you can see there. You can see on my nose as well. I've had, I've had some cuts from falling ice. Group photo. So that was we did the route. Now I can't remember. I'm not sure if it was at the top of the route that I think by the time we got to the top, Tommy and Andre got to the bottom. And actually, sorry, that the previous one there. Actually, sorry, I should have pointed out on this previous one here. This British mountain guide that was there actually took this photo. So there's actually I'm not sure if it's either me or Andre. It's either Andre seconding up to Tommy or me. The last pitch, you can see one of us there on the last pitch. So yeah, so we got obviously got the top, and then Tommy and Andre got down, and then I remember, I think we might have been upside down. I remember hearing a shout and looking down.
You guys are still at the top. Myself and Andre had abseiled down, and Andre, I can't remember what abseil it was on, but Andre had dropped one of his gloves. So we eventually got to the bottom. It was quite hard building the threads. The ice was just rubbish, trying to find decent threads. But anyway, we got to the bottom, and Andre went off to one side to collect, because we spotted his glove. I started making my way. I went back across to where we'd stored the gear, the bags and stuff, and I was waiting for Andre. So I just got my phone out and FaceTimed my wife quickly, just to let her know we was back down off the roof. The reception wasn't actually that good, so I kept losing. And then I heard like a rumbling noise and a big shout, and I looked up the face, and we were at the bottom of the face, and there was just like this massive, huge amount of snow just come over the top, and I literally just like thought, oh shit. I just looked down at myself and braced myself, thinking, oh, it'll be all right. This is just like, it's not that bad. And then it just picked me up. Took me, luckily I wasn't on the phone to my wife anymore. I put the phone down. It just picked me up and took me, and I don't remember a lot of it. I just remember thinking, right, if I keep my arms moving, I'll stay above the snow, hopefully. And eventually it stopped. I was buried up to just below my chest. Started digging myself out, and I was just, I consider myself to be, I think that I'm quite a tough person, but when I stood up, my legs literally just give way, and I think I might have been in a bit of shock. I was petrified, and I was just like, I looked up and I was like, gee, I must have a guardian angel or something. How I'm still alive, I don't know. So it was basically, I was avalanched. The gear was gone. All the gear, every bit of the gear, you could see the odd bit down by me, but the rest of the gear was completely gone. It was buried. I went back up to where we thought the gear was. We had a little dig around, managed to find, I think we actually managed to find it all in the end. Andre come over, checked that I was all right. He was helping digging, and I felt, part of me felt really bad, and then the other part of me just wanted to I didn't want to be searching for the gear. I just wanted to get out of there and get off the face, because I was worried that more stuff might come down. Unfortunately, it didn't. So myself and Andre found the gear. We dug the gear. We left it there for that. We made our way down. And we stood down the bottom by the road and waited for Zach and Julian to come down. But it was I've always been quite naive about it, but I don't know if any of you guys have ever been caught in an avalanche. It don't matter how strong you are, it frightens you big time. And it certainly opens your eyes up when you go back on slopes like that. And for the rest of the week, it probably was in my head for quite a bit. If that wouldn't have happened at the start of the week, maybe on the other routes, I might have took a bit more of a chance. I don't know. So
yeah. I think we heard something and then looked down, and I could just see you sort of like sliding down a load of snow. And the first thing I thought was like, oh, he's just having a laugh, sort of sliding down. Then I realised that you'd been caught up in avalanche. So it was, quite scary. And good job, Tommy and Andre, in basically digging all the bags and snowshoes.
And I still had my phone. I was like, this is how disorientated I was. I was panicking because I thought, shit, where's my phone? And I was looking for my phone for ages, and it was actually in my hand all the time. I managed to keep hold of it. And then there's a part of me that's like thinking, I wish I would have actually been on the phone to my missus, and she could have recorded all that. That would have been quite a cool video.
Really?
Yeah.
So So this is another route we did called Gully of the Sods, and you'll see why it's quite an apt name actually. But it was quite a nice route. I'm trying to remember how many times did we went up once, didn't we, as a recce, and then I think it was the second time that we. So this was actually a photo on a recce day that we just went up. And actually, I think Tom and I were saying actually, if we'd had our climbing gear, we would have probably just done the route. But we basically got up late that day and we're feeling a bit tired, so we thought we'd just walk up and work out the best way of getting up there. So yeah, I think if we'd had the climbing gear, we probably would have just done the route that day. But then next day sorry. Yeah, so this is the next day, and I think the name's quite a good name, Gully of the Sods, because it was, this was proper sort of mixed climbing with an awful lot of turf, turf in it, and I think Zach, this ended up being your sort of favourite climb, wasn't it? Not
who in their right mind wants to climb frozen turf? It's horrendous. I never want to see another piece of frozen bloody grass in my life
Zach,
again.
It wasn't frozen. That was the problem.
It was awful. Awful.
Yeah, you had to find the frozen bit. So this was, it was like, it was an interesting, fun route, I would say. But getting to the base was like a nightmare because the amount of snow. The amount of snow on the approach, it was very hard to get to the base. But then, obviously we got on it. Andre did a really good job of digging a lot of the fresh snow out, and then it was a lot of sort of hooking. And I don't think there was actually any real ice on this route. It was all basically, mixed, hooking, basically trying to find frozen turf that you could trust. The gear was very, very poor. It was very, very, very run out a lot of the way up, actually. That's sort of what it looks like. So, sort of a bit Scottish.
Yeah, that was actually the crux of the route. It's just up above where Andre is there. That was it was a dry tooling M4 bit. That was probably the hardest part of the route. This bit was fairly easy. It just made really hard work by the amount of snow there was, all the digging. Yeah,
the crux was basically this bit where there was sort of a bit like overhanging sort of rock feature, and you had to. Again, I think I ended up getting a cam in below it, which was probably half decent, but it was still below that. And then you basically, I think we all climbed it a little bit of a different way, but I think I ended up sort of moving my feet up bridging, and then basically managed to get a couple of good axe holds above on frozen turf, and then just had to trust them, and then basically swing up. But we all got up there. I think that's Andre getting
hot eggs,
which is interesting, because I actually unfortunately now suffer from Raynaud's disease. So I have to be really careful with my fingers. So when I go out winter climbing, I'm very, very careful. I basically, when I get to a belay, I put like a nice warm belay mitt on, and then swap back to, climbing gloves for the climbing, which works well, and make sure I put a belay jacket on at belays. So and I actually didn't have any problems with my fingers out there. But yeah, poor Andre got hot eggs, which is obviously anyone who's had them know, horrible.
It hurts.
Yes, yeah, it hurts a lot.
I was always there with the camera to catch it for him, though.
There's Tommy and Andre at the top. Tommy at the top. On this route was actually a walk down rather than abseil back. Well, we couldn't have abseiled back down that route. It would have been impossible. It wouldn't have been any good belays really. Oh, actually, there were. I think that we used trees for belays, didn't we? So maybe we could have. But yeah, that's actually one thing I do remember. Actually, we were very fortunate that we were able to find a tree, for every belay, because otherwise we would have been belaying on not much. And there's a photo of me and Zach on the top of on top of that route.
There's Zach's 10 kg coat.
There's 2 coats on there. That was 12 kg.
Yeah.
I can't believe you carried that coat all the way out. It's that coat weighed more than me.
That's an old school climbing helmet, is it?
Yes, I could take his helmet off. I was being a bit more conservative and decided to basically keep the helmet on until I'd come back down off the mountain. But yeah, I mean Zach's jacket was probably more fitting of, it was more like an Arctic Explorer type jacket. So it's actually quite fitting for the location, but probably not quite as, suitable for climbing. And then the failures. Unfortunately, we did have some failures. So this route, we were really keen to do it, Spoon Couloir. How many times did we?
We walked into the base of it twice.
Yeah, it was twice. I think this. So this was like a nice long route. The Slovenian girls basically recommended it to us. They'd actually basically just done it solo, but they were very hardcore. So we were going to do it, but with like a sort of a lighter rack. But yeah, I think the first time we basically went up I didn't like the snow. I didn't like the snow conditions at all, and it just took us ages anyway to basically get anywhere sort of near the base. But there was fluffs of snow coming down, and I just said I don't this is too risky, and because of the snow conditions. So, and then the second day that we went up, it didn't seem quite as bad. But the problem was, it was just, so we got to a point where we were just wading in snow, and it was just it was just going to be impossible to get onto it. And then we thought probably the route would have just been buried under snow as well. So yeah, we basically turned back both times, and we didn't really know what it was like further up, the higher up. We're a bit worried that maybe it could be there could be a bit of an avalanche apron at the top of it as well. So yeah, we backed off a couple of times, which is a real shame. Apparently it's a very nice route. Do you remember how many pitches this one was supposed to be? I think it was supposed to be.
Yeah, there's actually 3 technical pitches of ice, and yeah, there's 3 technical pitches of ice and a bit of mix, and then it was more of moving. Quite a bit of it you could move. It was quite a big route, but quite a lot of it you could just simu climb and move together on it. But say those a couple of the girls that were out there, they soloed it. They said it was easy. They did do it at the beginning of the week when there was a lot less snow around, but yeah. So we don't know because we didn't get up that far, did we?
Yeah, we got very close on the second time. Got very close to the base of the route, but it was just silly.
Well, we were up to our chests in snow. Yeah. It's hard work. It's just disheartening.
Then this was Tommy's main objective, wasn't it? The Great Corner, which basically was left to the last day.
Yeah, we made a mistake there. Now the trip's over, you look back and you think about what you could have done differently, and you got to take, when you go to these places, you've got to take your chances when you can. We should have got on this at the start of the week. We shouldn't have been messing around thinking, oh, we'll climb that day, because yeah, we want to say when we went to climb it, the weather was awful. I think there's a slide. If you go one slide on, Julian.
That one?
Not that one. That does show the whole route. Yeah, that's Andre. Again, we walked in near the bottom, myself and Andre, and it sort of, you go up in this little runnel to get to the base of it, and as we were going up there was 2 avalanches went off to our left, and then there was just stuff coming down this runnel constantly. And I think it was more, if I'm honest, it was probably more me that wanted to turn back. And I think it might have been, if I will be honest, because of what happened at the start of the week, might have been still in my head a bit, because now I knew that I wasn't invincible, and now I knew that I could get avalanche. So yeah, but I also think that Andre was quite happy when I said to him, I think we should turn back. So yeah, we actually didn't climb it. We got very, very close to the bottom of it, and then we turned back. I was talking about maybe going to do the route that, because if you go back a couple of slides, yeah, so you can see the great corner smack bang in the centre there, the ice and mix line which goes up there, and then Zach and Julian were doing this other line just that goes up there called the slant. It goes up there and it traverses along that ramp, and then the crux pitch is that ice right up on the right hand sides there. So I said to Andre, like, oh, let's just go and follow up there. By this time I think Andre was quite pissed off. He's like, so we just decided to call it. So yeah, Zach and this is it. Do you want to show this video?
Yeah. Hopefully it'll come through.
That I took when we got back down to the gear to basically put a gear off. So this was the stuff that was constantly coming down the face on us. It wasn't very nice. So yeah, this is a point. This was where myself and Andre had got back to where we'd stashed our bags, and yeah, we were just getting our gear off. So the little video. Zach and Julian were still on the first pitch of the slant. If you look here, you can see more bad weather coming in from the sea there. So we knew at this point it was going to get worse again. Yeah, then you go around now, you should see, so there's Julian and Zach. First picture of the slant. Yeah, so basically we packed all our gear up then and we headed back. The car was back down, so we was like, right, we're not going to wait here. We'll go back down to the car, get the heaters on, get coffee ready for when these guys have finished and come down. So.
Yeah, and then, so to try and make, we thought it'd be best for us all to sort of be in the same area, and obviously we only had one car, so Zach and I went and we're going to do this route called the slant. So you can see from this photo, I think you took this photo, didn't you, Tommy? So you can see from this photo just like the the crazy weather there. One moment it's like blue sky and you're in the sun, and the next moment there's like a storm comes in from the sea. This was we went up again. It was like a nightmare just getting up to the base of this. First pitch at sort of me leading up there, but again, it wasn't in good condition, and fortunately the climb on this wasn't. It was like about WI3 or something. This bit really, so it wasn't hard, but it was basically a lot of it was just sort of cruddy snow with no ice underneath. So I pretty much led the whole pitch with really no gear at all, or hardly anything decent. So I basically fortunately managed to find some good ice up here somewhere. Might have actually been here. So managed to get a decent belay in. Brought Zach up. Then I think as Zach was coming up, I got like a spindrift avalanche coming up. Come over, sort of thing you get in Scotland. But I was like, at that point I'm thinking like, this is not. It's not really good, and the snow's not. Was it going to be like higher up if we end up getting somewhere where we can't find any gear whatsoever? So I was already at that point thinking like this is probably not a good idea actually. But we actually hadn't seen the avalanches to the side of us that Tommy, that Tommy had seen. And then so that came up. Then we heard Tommy and Andre shouting, saying that they weren't going to go up their route. And I think that just sort of then, that was it. We said, right, yeah, we're not going to. We need to just get down. So yeah, fortunately there was some half decent ice. So we managed to get some good threads in to add back down. I think this is a photo that Tommy took. I think back at the car, wasn't it? So this was basically actually after you got back down the car, and this shows an avalanche coming down. That is the line that Tommy and Andre wanted to do. That's basically an avalanche coming down, and this we were told it wasn't really, you look up there, you can't really see much of an avalanche like an apron or anything. We were told it should be fairly safe, but obviously just the amount of snow there'd been just means that the slopes up there were very, very.
If you also look closely at that picture, guys, you could write down there that is Zach and Andre just stood Zach and Julian. So luckily, that little scoop you see, luckily that snow went off to the left, and then down that scoop is where myself and Andre were.
Yeah. Is another video.
Oh,
guys, look out above!
You can see the two dots. There's the two of us. We can hear Tommy shouting. We're going like, what's he shouting about? Fortunately, this avalanche didn't actually come near us.
Watch above!
Wow.
Was that me, or was that just in the great corner?
That was in the come down the great corner.
It's not. They're not huge avalanches.
That was a little avalanche again.
I can tell you, they are serious, and they will take you off down the face.
God!
No problem at all. When they hit you, you know about it.
So yeah, so on to fun and games. So obviously one of the, I think for me, one of the good things about going away on a trip like this is actually, the sort of fun and the banter and everything you had. So yeah, I think there were things about each of us that I think made everyone laugh. Yeah, we'll go through them. But Zach's skiing skills, I think we've got some photos on that. Sorry, Zach. My stretches, because I was basically doing, I basically was getting, sort of end of last year, I was getting some really bad knee pain running, and basically ended up going to see a physio, and ended up getting diagnosed with, I think it was a partial tear of the meniscus on the knee. So I basically, before going on this trip, I hardly did any cardio actually, because I basically just completely stopped running. I was able to go skiing at the early February. So physio was happy with me to do that, and also happy for me to go on this trip. But I was basically told by the physio, right, you got to keep on doing all these exercises and stretches. So these guys thought it was hilarious seeing me do all these very funny.
It was just quite funny, Jude. It was our entertainment every night before dinner. We were all sat on the sofa watching you doing these lunges and squats with this rubber band down your legs, making duck noises. It was quite entertaining.
In a small,
give us a demonstration then, Julian.
I won't do a demonstration. There's a photo you'll see.
There's actually a video. I actually have a video on my phone.
You can put it in the Facebook group. Tommy's onion goggles you'll see in a moment. So Andre's afternoon naps. I don't know if Andre's joined or not. So Andre, I've not come across somebody who just gets up so early in the morning. I mean, this is the guy who, I think we set the alarm when we stayed at Gatwick, at the hotel Gatwick for the flight. What time was it we set the alarm? It's about 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning. And literally he's up an hour before that, moving around the hotel room, going into the shower and stuff. He'd be like,
and he's not very quiet when he gets up either. He's not very. Other people are still sleeping.
Even on a rest day when we all try get lying, and he'll be up super early. But we realised how he does this, because basically we were in the apartment. He'd have an afternoon nap. We went out in the car. He'd basically just nap. He'd just fall asleep the whole time in the car. So I thought that was quite funny. Sorry, Zach. So, Zach, when was the last time you skied before going to Senya?
1984.
So obviously we decided that we obviously needed some way of,
and that was for 2 weeks on a school trip.
So obviously, if the snow was really firm and it was perfect, then it'd be fine. But obviously, we knew that there was a good chance that we'd be having to, do approaches in some deep snow. So
he didn't even have powder skis. He had little blades.
So yeah, so Tommy, myself, and Andre basically bought some snowshoes. We decided. We weren't all going to basically go out with proper skis or anything. I mean, Andre can't ski, so we thought we'll do snowshoes. Zach basically got himself some ski blades and decided to learn how to use them out there, which was obviously quite. I think they were fine, weren't they, Zach, for basically doing the approaches up. I think it was a going down. That was a challenge. So obviously, there's we find there, Zach, but obviously there was a lot of this going on. An awful lot of this, which was obviously quite funny.
It was very deep for snowblades, to be fair.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yeah, and this is you were wearing the blades with your mountaineering boots as well, which scares me, having had ankle injuries and and a dodgy knee as well. But you did well. Yeah, sorry. Tommy insisted I should put this back. This is me in the middle of some, I think, doing squats with a TheraBand around my legs, and this is what the physio told me to do. And I was doing.
You had to make duck noises, Julian.
Well, yeah, I think one of the exercises was called duck something, where I have to basically sort of move, crouch down, and basically move across the room. And Tommy you were saying like, oh, that's called duck something. So I started making duck noises.
Looks like you're wearing women's underwear there on the outside.
Yeah. The problem
You didn't see his pants.
The problem from my point of view is these. Sometimes I would be I shared a bedroom with Julian, and sometimes I would be in the bedroom reading on tomorrow's route or speaking to my wife on the phone, and Julian would be in his underpants doing lunges on the side of the bed, and it wasn't ideally what I wanted to say whilst on the phone to my wife.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and the thing is, obviously, is that when we came back with like a whole load of wet gear and stuff, obviously we'd whack up the heating in there, so we'd all have to be stripping down, not wearing very much. Yeah, so this is Tommy, who I think
I don't see the problem with this. It's good thinking.
Yeah, so Tommy doesn't obviously doesn't cook much with onions, but I think it was Tommy's turn to cook, and it was he was cooking a pasta, so obviously had to make a base, and we insisted that onions should be part of that because we bought some. So Tommy said, like, I can't cut onions because it's going to make me cry. You can obviously imagine the abuse that Tommy got as a result of that. But then Tommy said, you know what, I'm just going to put my ski goggles on to cut the onions. Yeah. Yeah, and obviously a lot of banter and silliness there. Trying to, can't remember what that was. I think it was like a pole and a pier, wasn't it? And I said, like, well, look, it's there. It's got to be climbed. You can't can't have something like that there and not climb it. And then, in Tromso, which is basically on the last day when we were travelling back, we spent a few hours in Tromso. I think, Tommy, you thought it was very funny, these little creatures. And then I thought I'd put this in there because me and Zach basically decided to go and have there was a little stall there with a little fire and they were selling reindeer hot dogs. And I was like, I've got to have a reindeer hot dog. So Tommy and Andre said, like, oh, we're not interested. We're just going to we're just going to wait on the side somewhere near here. And then so me and Zach go and get a reindeer hot dog and a nice hot drink. And I'm like, well, they've got a little fire here, so let's just sit down here. So we obviously sat down there, and then we start chatting to people. We're there for a while, and then and Tommy and Andre come over, going like, "What are you doing? We're getting cold, waiting." Come and. Oh, lovely. We were like next to the fire, having a chat.
Waiting for these two, while they were just sat there next to this warm fire with blankets, eating their reindeer hot dogs.
It was very, 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 very nice, actually. So lessons learned. I think, Tommy, that's probably your one, isn't it? Never think you're invincible.
Yeah, this is just a few lessons like just never think you're invincible. Be careful. Just lessons like 2 weeks. We went for 10 days. Ideally, if you're going out there, you probably want to go for a bit longer, just to count for weather days and stuff. And again, be prepared to fail. There's going to be, it's as disheartening as it is, it's hard work, and there's a lot of factors against you when you go out there. Yeah. Mentioned earlier, the walk-ins, they might not seem like they're that hard, but they're actually they're a lot harder than you think. So when you think, oh, we can get up to the bottom of that route 20 minutes, half hour, you're looking at a couple of hours. Climbing was just, it was very bold. Similar to Scotland, really. You got to work for the gear. It's not there. You don't have route descriptions. You don't have belays and stuff like that. You've got to do all that yourself. So you've got to work twice as hard. Yeah, take skis. Obviously, if you've got bad weather days and stuff like that, skiing, you could go skiing. Like if we'd have had skis with us, we could have had some amazing fun on skis out there on the bad weather days. And the skiing could just be amazing out there. Ski touring would have been incredible, wouldn't it, Julian?
Yeah, definitely.
Like the areas out there, and then yeah, just take your opportunities when you can. I don't know what lessons did you learn, Julian?
Yeah, I'd say all that. I mean, it's it's a great place to go ski touring as well, actually. But obviously, I think with the amount of snow that there was and the avalanche conditions when we were there, we would have had to have been very careful anyway, even if we'd done that. I think, if anyone does go out there, the one comment I'll make about the...
Well, I want to go back next year, so if anyone wants to go, hook us up.
Yeah, so one thing in terms of the bold climbing thing is obviously if you're climbing on the ice and the ice is good, then as we saw on the first day, ice screws are good. But in terms of the mixed climbing, and the local guy there basically said the same thing. It's either very compact rock, a little bit like on Ben Nevis actually. It's either very compact rock, or actually in some places it's just it sort of shatters a lot. So it's actually not really a good area for summer rock climbing because again there's it's very hard to find gear, or if you do, it's in a crack, which is just basically the rock's going to shatter. So, any questions?
How high is it around there? How over the ski touring and stuff? But
I think the mountains aren't that high. They're about 1,000.
Yeah, about 1,000 meters. I think the highest mountain is Segler, and I think that's 1,1. I think, or
okay.
1,2.
You're starting at sea level, obviously. So
yeah. I mean, all the approaches are, all the approaches are from sea level. So you're either basically doing, again, some of the routes, it's a short approach, or, some of the bigger routes, it's much longer approaches. But,
yeah, I mean, you've got potentially 1,000 meter height gain, yeah. So.
Yeah.
Any idea what the situation's like further in Norway, away from the coast?
What, in terms of climbing?
Yeah, in conditions.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of climbing. I don't know all the areas really well, but there is if you go online and just Google it, there's quite a lot of information. It's becoming a lot more popular now. There's oh god, I don't know it now. Is it Lofoten Islands, which is down from
Lofoten.
Which is a bit further south than
Lofoten.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm not very good with words and stuff like that or reading, but yeah, that place, Claire.
Probably thinking of further inland, because I mean the problem you were having was it was too warm, and that's what they say in Lofoten. The people in Lofoten, they do a lot of cod fishing, and they're saying it's getting too warm for the fish to dry properly, and they're starting to rot because it's getting too warm because of global warming. So I mean, it's because it's near the sea. If you go inland, it ought to be colder, and you might get better conditions.
I think this season just gone has been pretty warm everywhere. The whole of Norway, like you look at Rjukan this year, it's just been like they never had hardly any winter season at all. I think the winter's this winter just gone it was not good anywhere. I think the Alps come into fairly good condition this year, but yeah, like I knew people that cancelled their trips to Rjukan. And Rjukan's normally a really good place to go because there was no ice at all. So we were quite worried before we even went out there how warm it was, where normally it's a lot colder than what it was. But yeah, I don't know why we were out there. I don't know what conditions were like further inland up north. I know they weren't great down south in Rjukan area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's like further inland. I mean, obviously it tends to be on the coast where you've got all the big, sort of big mountains and faces, the fjords. But
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or?
No, it certainly looks an interesting place. Yeah, certainly a bit different.
Oh, it's a brilliant. I've got so I want to go back there definitely. I feel a bit I feel a bit shortchanged if I'm honest. I definitely want to go back, and I did spot. Hopefully, no one will do it, but I did spot, which I think could be a good route, a new line. So hopefully, I can get back down there. I'm not sure the other guys will be as keen as I am to go back there, but we'll see.
Do you say you think the weather was? It's hard to say these days. It was a bit unusual. You got.
What's that, Matt?
Did you get the impression the weather you got was sort of unusually bad, or is that typical?
Yeah, so I spoke to Ben, and Ben did say that there was an awful lot of snow out there for that time of year, and it's not normally that bad. So in previous, I've seen like when my friend went out there the previous year, they had excellent conditions. They only went for a week and they got loads done. The conditions were brilliant all week. So I think we were just unlucky.
And I think when we were there, it was quite good in Scotland. So it seems to be that's just the draw, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think it was around the same time I was ice climbing in the Alps. We went rock climbing one day because we were rock climbing the base layers in one day.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's basically it's on the Atlantic Ocean, so you're going to have the same sort of issues as you get in Scotland with the weather. And it was only really the first day that we had the issue with it being a bit too warm. Otherwise, it was all right. And actually, we probably would have helped us to have had a bit of warmer weather during the week as well.
Yeah,
anyway,
the first day was the only day when we had plus temperatures. All the other days were below. It was just the main issue wasn't the temperature. It was just the amount of snow. It was just snowing solid. And when it did snow, it would snow for a long period of time. And yeah, like you'd wake up in the morning and there'd be like 2 foot of snow outside. Just like it was just so much of it.
Right.
Yeah, it's an amazing place to go to because obviously it's you get tourists you go to that whole area just to look around.
I can imagine I would really like to actually it'd be a nice place to take the family in the summer, just like not for climbing but for walking or something like that. I can imagine it'd be very beautiful for an area to go like walking and stuff like that with the family.
Did you see any bears?
Sorry?
Did you see any bears?
Only first thing in the morning when he got out of bed.
I've been eating that time of year, wouldn't
Do you stretching?
But no, there wasn't no bears. We saw loads of reindeers. I think was that the only animal we saw?
Yeah. The polar bear then.
There was quite a lot of birds of prey. I think Zach might have seen a few birds of prey and stuff. But yeah, no, there was no bears, I think.
Tommy, you would like Lofoten in the summer for the rock climbing?
Yeah, I have actually been told about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Lofoten's lovely.
That is on my to-do list.
It's all. Is it all like big walls and stuff? Like I could imagine big wall climbing. Is it or?
It's whatever you want. There is some sport. There's a little bit of sport. There are sort of single or 2 pitch crags, and there are big routes, 10, 12 pitches. Absolutely everything you want.
Yeah.
The main base is a place called Henningveen, which, it's a fantastic little village. It is the climbing centre, but it's thoroughly recommended.
Oh, I'll have a look. I was actually looking at it because another friend of mine had gone there this year.
There's the Rock Facts Guide.
Excellent. I'll have a little look.
Yeah.
But doesn't it have the same issue as again as Scotland in terms of weather can be a little bit iffy?
Really,
Bob, Liz,
having 24-hour daylight.
Yeah, you just go climb as soon as it's dry. Just go climbing, whatever the time of day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Very weird.
It's It takes a bit of getting used to when you think, oh, it looks like it's drying out. Hang on, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, well, never.
Bloody hell,
Midnight,
Julian, we'd actually be able to finish a route in daylight for once.
Absolutely.
If you don't, you'll be there a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. If you go sort of June, July, August, basically you've got daylight till October.
Yeah.
We might get something done, Julian.
Yeah. You get B90 to be on the route 4 months. Yeah.
Andy, did you say when you went, you had fantastic weather for 2 weeks?
We did.
Yeah.
We had
Yes,
two.
absolutely.
We went in June for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We stayed opposite where you were in Henningsvar, in a place called Bowland, and it was really quite central, and we managed to see all of the islands. It was really fantastic and good walking as well in the summer.
Is it similar to Senya? Like, what's the logistics like there? Is it like there's lots of supermarkets and stuff like that? Or?
Well, not lots of them, but certainly, you know, you could go to a supermarket probably half an hour's drive away.
Yeah, there's supermarkets in Letnes and Henningsvar and Silver and
So Silver supermarket there, but we drove from home, and like you do.
Nice, that's a long drive.
Yeah, but we wanted
in the old white Cortina.
Mondeo. In our old Mondeo, yes.
What was that, like two-day drive or something like that?
5.
4 or 5.
Yeah, 5-day drive, or 4.5 days. But we wanted to take our own sea kayaks.
Oh, wow, that would have been amazing, yeah.
And then, yeah, it was a brilliant trip. It was.
But
we had fantastic weather. We had unusually hot weather.
So did you guys do kayaking out there?
Yes, yeah.
Wow, that
mixture of kayaking and climbing, and I think one of the nicest routes we did. I mean, it was just a scramble, wasn't it? But you had to kayak to get to it. We had some very creative camping. Because down the fjords, the sides are really steep, so it's actually really difficult to find somewhere to put out and put a tent up. And then it was real bushwhacking to get to the mountain that we climbed.
Do you get problems in like when you go to Scotland in the summer and you get lots of midges and stuff?
There were insects.
Do you get problems like that in Norway as well in the summer?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, but that's where the kayaking helps. Yeah. You can run away. Yeah. The kayaking, it took us. We drove up through Sweden, which is much quicker than driving up through Norway. But I mean, we were in Norway. We were on Lofoten for about 2 weeks.